welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. For today's video, I'm going to be going over all of my expenses for the week of, let's see, January 11th through the 17th. So everything that came out of my checking account, anything I put on a credit card, anything that I spent throughout this week. I'm going to be putting my typical variable expenses here on my expense tracker. We're also going to check in with my sinking funds and see where I spent money there. I don't have a ton of transactions this week. It's a pretty low-key week, but I did make a pretty huge budget mistake this week, which we'll talk about kind of as we get into the expenses. So I have my expense tracker in front of me. This is available in my Etsy shop. This is my blue chevron design for January. You can purchase this worksheet. It's a printable. You can print it out yourself at home, instant download, and it's really handy for keeping track of all of your expenses. So yeah, let's just get started with what I spent on January 11th. That was kind of the first day of the week. You guys know by now that I track my expenses weekly. It just helps me to keep on track with my budget if I'm writing down everything that I spend. I know a lot of people don't do this, they don't find it necessary, but for me, someone who tends to shop a lot and spend a lot if I'm not careful, this expense tracking is a valuable part of my budget journey. So we'll start out with some bills. So on the 11th, I went in and I paid my bills. I paid DTE, so the category will be bills. And the amount that was $193. I also paid my gas bill on this day, and that was Michigan Gas. So again, the category is bills, and that amount was $42. Also on the 11th, I went in and I made my Subaru payment. This is where the mistake happens. I just kind of went in, paid all my bills like I always do on Tuesdays, got everything paid, kind of checked everything off my little list, and went about my life. So I paid $400. My actual Subaru payment is $386.91. I always just pay $400 because it's easier to remember, and I always check the little box. It pops up when I go to make my payment. My car payment is through Ally, and anytime you pay more than what the minimum payment is, it asks you, do you want to apply the extra towards next month's minimum payment, or do you want to have it go towards the balance? And I always select for it to go to the balance. Might as well pay a little bit extra. It's just, a few dollars, but why not? So I went in and did that, didn't think anything of it, went about my day, so on and so forth. We had pizza this night from Jets, so that category is eating out. Just had a low-key, lazy evening. That amount was $40.01. And then the next day when I went in to make sure, actually a couple of days later, when I went in to make sure that my Subaru payment had cleared, I realized that I made a huge mistake. So when I paid that $400 to Subaru, I didn't pay close enough attention, and I didn't realize that the statement hadn't cleared yet. And so that $400 that I paid went as an extra payment, since that's how I set it up, but it did not cover the minimum payment that was due the end of the month because the statement hadn't cleared yet. So that full $400 went as an extra car payment rather than just the extra $20 or whatever going towards that extra payment, and it did not cover the minimum payment because I didn't select it to do that. So even though I had paid $400 to Ally for my Subaru, I still owed $386.91 because of the fact that I paid it too early. So I had to go in and then make a second car payment to cover the minimum payment. You guys, I've never done this before. I just wasn't paying close enough attention. I always pay my bills immediately as soon as the statement cuts because I don't want to get into the habit of waiting until the due date is coming close and then end up paying it too late. So in this case, I paid it too early because I selected for the extra to go to my, to go towards the principal essentially. It didn't cover any of the minimum payment that was due, so I had to make a second payment. So at that point, it was the 13th, I had to go in, make a second payment for my Subaru. This time I just paid the actual minimum payment, which was that $386.91. So essentially, I paid $400 more to my car this month than I should have had to because I wasn't paying attention. So you guys know we're on a debt-free journey. That $400 should have gone to the credit card we're currently working on, but because of my error, we are now $400 less in our budget for the month. So likely that means that my credit card that I'm currently working on is not going to get nearly as much as I had hoped it would this month because that $400 has to come from somewhere. So use me as your example of what not to do. Make sure you're paying attention when you're going in and paying your bills. I was just on autopilot. I went in, I checked everything, I paid everything, and didn't even think about it. And because of that, you know, we're $400 short for the month. Luckily, we are in a situation where we had that $400. If this had happened a couple of years ago, there's no way we would have had an extra $400 just laying around. We were living paycheck to paycheck. Every single penny was going towards bills. We were scraping, you know, the bottom of the barrel to get groceries and things. Luckily, we're in a better position now, but yeah, that's definitely going to put a little hiccup in my plan for January debt paying off. Of course, we're still $400 less in debt. It's just not the debt that I was planning to tackle. Does that make sense? So yeah, I won't make that mistake again, for sure. Anyways, so we had a no spend on the 12th. I need to remember to go in and mark that on my calendar. We didn't spend any money there, which was good. The 13th, all we had was that extra Subaru payment. And then on the 14th, I had quite a bit of spending. So we, by we, I mean me. I went to Walmart this day and I spent a small fortune, excuse me. I spent a small fortune on junk food this day. I went into Walmart on this day to get feminine hygiene products and a 9-volt battery and came out with $100 worth of stuff. It was definitely hormonal spending. I went in hungry. I bought all kinds of stuff we did not need. For the grocery part of that transaction, I spent a total of $82.01, which is crazy considering there were no groceries on my list. I literally went in for 2 things and came out with a ton. It is what it is. And then also, the other part of that transaction was household items like the battery and the feminine hygiene products I mentioned. So that was also Walmart. Category is household. And that amount was $19.84. Okay, also on the 14th, my husband went to Kresge's, and I never remember how to spell this. There's like a Z and a Y and a K in there. I definitely forgot the Z, but whatever. The category here is miscellaneous. I don't even know for sure what he bought here, so I just categorized it as miscellaneous instead of, you know, trying to track him down and figure out exactly what he spent. It was $5.29. Definitely not going to break the bank, but I just classified that as miscellaneous. And then he also went to Dollar General and I classified that as miscellaneous as well, and that was $10.28. I know that this was not spending for like his personal spending because he uses his cash for that. Occasionally he picks up household stuff or stuff that he needs, like windshield washer fluid or that sort of thing. Typically I would, ask him what he spent, but I'm doing this now. I'm not going to text him while he's at work to find out, so I just classified that as miscellaneous. That's what we have a miscellaneous budget for. And then moving on to the 15th. What was the 15th? Oops, that's a mistake. This Dollar General transaction was on the 15th. This whiteout is not working super well. So that was on the 15th, and that was the only transaction we had on the 15th for our typical spending. For the 16th, my husband got gas, so this was at BP. He filled up our gas tank, and that was $40. Just trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. And then on the 17th, which is the last day that we are tracking for, we were tracking for January 11th through the 17th. I'm just going to write that up here so that I don't forget about that. We went on Amazon and I purchased one of those meat chopper things. We had one and then it accidentally got melted in the dishwasher, so we decided it was time to get a new one. So this is a household expense. I did have a few dollars in points that I used towards it, and the part that we paid was $6.45. And then lastly, on the 17th, I had my Planet Fitness membership come out. So that is considered a bill, and that amount was $10. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and color code everything so that when I do my weekly check-in, I can really easily enter those numbers into my budget planner. So I need to pull in my mild liners. So pink is gas. Oh, I also need to write in how much I took out for savings. I keep forgetting about that. So for my savings challenges last week, $69. That was on Thursday. So what day of the week was that? I'm just gonna check my calendar really quickly. That was the 13th. So these are gonna be out of order, but that's okay. That was $69. Okay. So for my savings challenges, I'm going to use this color. I don't think that's the same color I used last week, actually. I'm going to go in, somebody recommended that I put a little label on my mild liners so that I can easily tell which one I used for which category. I'm going to definitely be doing that. I think that's the one I used for savings. I need blue for bills. I think yellow is eating out, right? Bright yellow for eating out, and the gold for groceries. So that's groceries. Eating out. And then the only other one I think I need is miscellaneous and household. So for miscellaneous, I know I use green. And household is orange. Alright, so let's go ahead and get these highlighted then. I like to separate these out by category. You guys know this if you've been watching for a while. So for bills, we had DTE, Michigan Gas. I think this is a different blue than I've been using. It is. So definitely need to go in and label these guys. Subaru, Subaru again, plus Planet Fitness. So that takes care of bills. And I'm just going to really quickly add up the totals, which it's going to be a much higher total than I originally anticipated. So 193 plus 42, I'm just using my little low-cost calculator here, plus 400, plus 386.91, plus 10, $1,031.91. I'm just going to add those up one more time just to make sure that's accurate. Yep, okay. So that's $1,031.91. Oops. This is why I should be using my erasable pen. $1,031.91. Okay, next we'll do eating out. And for that, we're going to do this bright yellow. We had Jet's Pizza. And that was $40.01. And that was our only eating out transaction. For groceries, we had just one transaction for $82.01. All right, household we said was orange. Definitely not the same orange either. In fact, that's not orange at all, that's red. But it is what it is. All right, for household, we had two expenses. Oops, $19.84 plus $6.45, so $26.29 for household. Yep. All right, then we have miscellaneous. And for that, we've got $5.29 plus $10.28 is $15.57. For gas, we have just the one transaction for $40. Look at how smeary that looks. And then lastly, we have savings challenges for $69. Okay, so let me just really quickly get a grand total then. Hopefully you guys can see the calculator. I have not been paying attention at all to where the camera is. My apologies. So $1,031.91 plus $40.01 plus $82.01 plus $26.29 plus $15.57 plus $40 plus $69, $1,304.79. I'm just going to add that up again, make sure that's accurate. Yep, So $1304.79. So that's it for here, but we're not quite done. We did have some spending that happened in our sinking funds. So I need to make sure to put those transactions in. So I'm just going to switch here to my sinking fund transaction log, and we will fill those in. There were just a couple of transactions. So we had on the 13th from our celebrations sinking fund, I took out $100 to give to Austin for his birthday. On the 15th, also from celebrations, we took out a little bit more money to grab a few things we needed for Austin's birthday dinner. That's when we celebrated. I gave him his cash on his birthday, but then we celebrated a couple of days later. We made him ribs, and we made him a cake and that sort of thing. And that was $35.25. I'm actually just going to mark this celebrations here with a little asterisk. So what the asterisk means is that I pulled that out in cash. Everything else that's listed here on my transaction log for sinking funds right now is on a credit card. And at the end of the month, when I'm all done spending from my sinking funds, I will go in and pull the cash out of the envelopes and true everything up. Rather than making like multiple payments to that card, that's how we're going to do that. So if I pulled it out in cash, I put a little asterisk there so I know that that cash is already gone, but everything else I need to go in and take it out. So that was $35.25, and that was also Austin's birthday. And then lastly, on the 15th, from our school sinking fund, I had to go in and pull out $17, and again, that was in cash, and that was for soccer. When we paid for his indoor soccer session here for $90, we actually underpaid. They discovered that they told us it was going to be $90 and then figured out that they were mistaken and it was going to be a little bit higher. So I had to pull that other $17 out to pay that. So that is all for our sinking fund transactions. The very last thing I want to do quickly is put in my no spend stickers into my calendar. So I think the last time I put in a no spend sticker, it was on the 3rd. I don't think I remembered last week to put in my no spend trackers. So I'm going to look at my expense tracker from last week and see. 9, 10. Okay, so actually we spent money every single day last week, so that's fine. For this week, we did a no spend on, let's see, the 12th. We had a no spend, and that's it. So I have decided that on days that I pay bills, I'm not going to put a no spend sticker, because I did technically spend money even though it was on bills. Plus it'll just make it easier to keep track of, and it'll mean that I use less stickers, which is always a good thing. So let me find my no spend stickers from Sarah Marie and put that sticker in. Alright, so I found my no spend stickers, and I've already forgotten what day that's supposed to go on. Is it the 12th? Yes. So we're going to go ahead and stick that down on the 12th. Alright, so that's it for my no spends then. That's everything that I spent in the week here. Just going to quickly go ahead and mark off these bills so that I know that I paid them, and that's going to do it for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I post new budgeting and lifestyle content here on my channel every single week. I'd love to have you come back, and I will see you next time. Bye.